The immediate recruiting ramifications if Jon Sumrall is Auburn's next head coach could be exciting.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, that is Locked On's recruiting, transfer portal, NIL show, is the place to be right now. This time of year, it's about to get crazy. But of course, Brian Smith hanging out with us. And I want to talk about roster retention with you in a moment. But Jon Sumrall is the presumed favorite. A lot of people are expecting an announcement on Sunday. That's what I've heard. That's what other people have heard. We'll see what happens. Let's have this discussion, assuming Jon Sumrall is Auburn's next head coach.
Okay, fire away.
There's two names I want to throw out at you. As far as, okay, if it's Sunday, we've talked about how important the immediacy is because Wednesday is signing day, which is wild. Trez Davis, one of the top guys committed to Tulane, just decommitted a few nights ago. 4-star receiver, West Monroe, Louisiana kid. Is there a shot here that he follows Jon Sumrall to Auburn if Sumrall is Auburn's next head coach?
Why not?
Why not? That's right.
West Monroe, for those that don't know, is one of the most famous public schools in the South for football. It's dominant. When they got that kid, I remember I was like, oh, that's a little different because they don't get the Northern Louisiana kids. That's okay. For those of you who don't know Duck Dynasty, that's like literally the high school right down the street. So
got it.
But they got him, and that's this kind of shows, hey, props to Tulane, the last staff that's now at Houston, and Sumrall as well, getting it done. But that kid can get SEC offers, etc., and he picked Tulane. He must respect that staff. And I've seen the film. He can play.
Yeah.
So good for him. I guess LSU bypassed on him because like just about every kid in that state wants to go play for the Bayou Bengals. But once they didn't go after him, he decided on Tulane. He could have picked SEC, ACC, Big 12. I imagine there's a chance. That kid.
Yeah. When you Google Trez Davis, or at least when I Googled Trez Davis, it was a lot of Washington Huskies outlets writing about him. They kind of labeled him as a flip target. So, we'll see if that's why he decommitted or if it was more so the rumblings about his coach. We'll see. But I thought that was interesting. So that's Trez Davis, 4-star receiver, West Monroe in Louisiana. Another guy who you and I have talked about a ton, but not recently because he committed to Florida State, Duron Parks. You talked to Duron Parks early in this recruiting cycle, and you interviewed him. You sent me the audio where it's like, hey, where all are you visiting? And he listed all these places, but he's like, but Auburn, man, I'm excited about going to Auburn. He was gushing about Auburn, and Auburn felt like they were in a great spot with him. And then in the last second, he goes to FSU. He decommitted earlier this week. Brian, you cover recruiting, you cover Auburn, you cover the Seminoles. What's up with Duron Parks, and does Auburn have a shot here?
This tells me that there's a good bet that the O-line coach at Florida State will not be there. Mr. Hand, guy I know, really good guy. Herb Hand's a really good guy.
Herb?
Yeah, old Herb.
Herb Hand.
That's ironic because he coached at Auburn, but he's pretty popular there. They've done a pretty good job with the O-line this season. But kids are real fickle about their coaches, whether the fans agree or not. They want to play for a coach, not a school. This kid's got offers all over the place, SEC and otherwise. So my guess is there's a good chance Herb's not going to be at FSU next year. That's just a guess. And B, like he doesn't like the direction Florida State's going. And if he's going to be there, is it going to be more than a year? I guess.
Are there more guys at FSU that could bail? Are you anticipating that?
Let's go with yes and just leave it at that.
Just go. I can't wait to tune into that show on signing day.
Yeah, it will not be friendly. I can assure you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean this. It feels a little odd that signing day is like a week away, essentially.
Right, But it's here. It's just weird
essentially like it's less than a week away. It doesn't feel like it. And is that just is that a me thing because I'm so into Auburn and the coaching search is the number one priority right now, and the Iron Bowl is second? Then maybe it's that next week, or does it kind of have that feel throughout college football right now? What do you think?
I think it's the fact that there's 125 jobs open in college football, and we're overwhelmed. Auburn's one of them. And for those that don't know, signing day is December 3rd. So that's 4 days after the Iron Bowl. Timing is not exactly the best.
So I'm glad you mentioned all the openings because I don't think people are thinking about the next step of this. Like let's say, somebody hires the head coach that's at Tulane or at Missouri or at wherever, then those schools have to hire coaches. And then there's going to be multiple waves of this. And these kids, like, there's no way. There's exceptions to this, but a lot of them, the mid tiers of college football, like you have no idea if you're actually going to be playing for that coach or not.
And those kids, those 3-star kind of guys, they're still going to sign because they want to play in the Power 4, especially those. Right. If you're a Mississippi State kid, like they're not looking for a coach, but at schools like that, Minnesota, Maryland, like they keeping their coach at Maryland. Is he really going to be there for all your time? But that's your only P4 offer. Like it's spin cycle, brother. Like Dave Aranda just got re-upped. Is he really going to be there that long? It's just these kids are in a tough spot. So
Baylor re-upped Aranda?
Yes.
Poor Cam Stewart. I bet our buddy Cam over at Locked On Baylor is going through it right now. I miss that.
We may have to start a GoFundMe for his psychiatry.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. There's a lot of Auburn fans that have started watching that show because of all the crossovers we did and all the smack talk he was. They like him now. So I think Auburn fans go help Cam Stewart out. Poor guy. Poor guy. Goodness gracious. But yeah, it's such a different dynamic. And is this going to happen every year where like in this era where it's college football playoff or bust, that is the culture that we have created within the sport. If you don't go in your first 3 or 4 years and you're a major program, is this going to happen all the time? And then, we all push for early signing day. Well, was that a good idea? It's too early to tell, but man, it's like anytime we kind of think that all the change in this sport is slowed down, it's like, nope, it's still happening.
I think the early signing day is a benefit to one thing, and that's the teams in that given year that make the playoff because they don't have time to be out on the road recruiting while they're preparing.
That's 12.
I know.
That's only 12 teams.
By the way, they're 136, so it's a little bit of a
right. So it's like, do you cater to the 12 teams at this point? Like, I don't.
They did.
They did, and that's what they did with the portal window too. They catered to the playoff teams. So. We'll see. Yeah, it's just interesting how much things have changed.
You should be happy about it because Auburn's going to be one of those playoff teams as soon as next year. I'm calling that now.
Don't do this.
I'm going to do this to you.
Don't do this to me.
You heard it here first. I told
the Sumrall, because you're high on Sumrall?
I'm not only high on him, I'm high on certain.
Okay, hold on. Brian tells us why he made that ridiculous statement in just a moment. Right here on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new FanDuel customers, you can bet $5. If that $5 bet hits, you get $300 to use throughout the app. That's insane. That's insane. Hey, Auburn, a 5.5-point dog, according to our friends at FanDuel. The Auburn money line, I'm telling you, it's staring me down. It's staring me down. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Brian Smith, host of The Portal. You said Auburn could be a year away from the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Explain yourself.
Defense wins championships.
Sure.
We both know that they have a ton of underclassmen on their defense. I mean, I know you don't even need the depth chart up, but like I was going through it last night and this morning, starting to go through my preliminary, who needs portal help, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Auburn's defense got some dudes. They got some young players that are in the second level. Like next year, we should see that jump. Malik Autry, New Boy Fagans, guys like that. Like they're in a good spot. And I think we've all seen, and I knew this anyway from covering him, Deuce doesn't suck. Cam's coming back. I think you correct me on this. My playoff prediction is predicated on the following. The receiver that came over, Mr. Singleton, is going to be back? Yes or no? We're hoping, maybe, could be.
I hope so.
If he is, like, Deuce will throw it to him.
Probably depends on, draft grades and things like that. But I can't imagine his stock has gone up as much as he anticipated it going up this year.
Yeah, he just didn't get the ball enough. So my guess is he'll come back because he's going to make good money at Auburn. He'll make 7 figures, and then he can, actually catch the football next year.
Man, if assuming they hold on to Cam, assuming they hold on to Eric, Perry and Malcolm are interesting. And then there's talk about Horatio Fields coming back with the medical redshirt. That's got to get approved, but it seems like they feel pretty confident about that. It's like, wow.
The only 2 spots that I'm like, I don't know yet. One is easy to fill and one is not. The tight end spot needs to be healthier, and B, they still got to go get somebody, but tackle is the one spot. You and I talked about that earlier today on the phone. Everybody and their brother needs a tackle. But you have to go overspend for one tackle because you've got a roster that can get you the playoff. Guess what you do, Zach?
You should spend it for sure. For sure. And that's where some of this gets a little interesting. We're going to have this conversation 1,000 times, but like some of these guys, and even some of these guys that we mentioned, and some of these underclassmen that you're talking about, some of them are going to leave. And it's going to feel awful because we love these guys. We've pulled for these guys, and the recruiting battles for these guys were so fierce and competitive. But some of them, like, they need to leave because you've had to pay. Kyle calls it like the suck tax because we've been so bad and you've had to pay more to keep them to stay. Like you can sell them on the vision or whatever. But like, if you're bad, some of these players cost more than if you were saying, well, you could stay here and compete for a championship, right? We haven't been able to say that. And so some of these guys that are going to leave, we're paying so much for, and that's probably not what their market is worth as far as here goes. It's like we've got guys that we're paying a lot of money that we're not using at positions where there's talent. And I just wonder, like, is it worth, like, do you need 5 or 6 receivers that you're paying so much money for when it could go to a more proven offensive tackle or something like that? But tackle's interesting because like we all kind of had this discussion about Xavier Chaplin when he got here.
Right.
And it's like, well, he's got multiple years left of eligibility, but we all just assumed he was coming here to go to the draft and then leave. And he got that draft praise early. I can't imagine the NFL is thrilled with his performance this year.
No.
So if you keep him, like, I'm kind of okay running it back with him. Like, there's a few things you got to fix, obviously, but I think you could do worse. There are some positions I'm concerned about. Tight end is one of them. I think the offensive line has the answers. You just may have to move some guys around and figure out, but like you've got raw guys there. Broderick Scholl's a guy you and I are super high on. Ty Buster's a guy that they love throughout spring. Dylan Sendo, I feel like we've been talking about him for forever. Cale Ellis is a guy that's looked good at times, and then other times it's just like he's a freshman, needs to gain 20, 30 pounds this offseason, which will happen. But the player retention aspect of this, like there's 4 or 5 guys that I think you really, really need to hold on to. And outside of that, like, okay, either develop what you've got or replace them in the portal. I think Auburn's going to be fine doing either.
I can't think of any spot. Cobb is the only other guy. I'm sure he'll get offers to leave, but he's the main guy. He'll stay.
But Brian, so my thing with Cobb is every time the portal opened for the last 2 years, I'm like, Jeremiah Cobb could leave. And he just never did. And so if he didn't leave then, why would he leave now that he's the guy, right?
That's what I mean. It would. Yeah. I mean, it's technically possible, but 4%, 3% chance. I mean,
I think it's pretty low. I think he's proven his loyalty for sure.
Yeah, he's a Montgomery kid, so he's an hour from home. Like, and he's a star player now. It'd be hard to imagine him leaving. Anything I'm missing? Like, do they need a backer? I mean, you can't replace Falk. Because he's gone. We all know he's gone. For those of you hoping he comes back for senior year, get over it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, like, and I don't know if you replace Keldrick. You replace so Amaris becomes the guy, and you replace Amaris's current role, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to get.
And you got some young guys on the team like that might be on the roster already.
Well, you got Jared on one spot, Amaris on the other, and then like they've got, like you said, they have other options. I just don't know which one will work itself out in spring, which is a good problem.
Yeah.
They had one guy in
The
the portal.
DBs are interesting. Like, I think the only guys that I don't think you're going to be able to find a guy better than in the portal on this team if they were to leave is Cam Coleman and Jay Crawford. Those are my only two guys where I'm like, those guys are not replaceable.
Yeah, they're NFL players.
If you want to put Deuce on there, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to push back on that. So then my question is like, okay, if you make sure Jay's happy, like Can Lee is a candidate to leave. Caleb Harris, like there's a few of these younger guys that I am concerned about. I want them to stay, but most of these guys are replaceable. I think there's 2 or 3 guys on this team that are not replaceable, and you've got to make sure you keep those guys.
That's completely fair. Now, here's my question.
Yes.
With all of those players, besides offensive tackle, if you take that out, is it tight end that's next on your portal list? Because, I mean, it's just a dearth.
You need bodies for, I think you need more than one.
That's what I mean. You can get a veteran H-back and then one other guy that's a dude. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Like, does Preston Howard come back? Does he want to come back? I feel like it'd be a nice, mutual parting of ways if he were to leave. Ryan G, I think, is going to be ready to take that next step. You got to think, but you need more than just him at that spot.
Yeah, at least one of your top 3. So tight end's not as hard as some of the other spots. Tackle is always the one you're like, right, that's going to hurt. There just aren't enough of them. So
yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of tight ends that are there.
Serviceable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and call this. So when Auburn hosts the playoff game next year, I'm picking Michigan for the rivalry. It's going to be 8-9. Auburn's going to be the 8 seed, Michigan 9. Party at Blackerby's.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
We're going to have an entire block over by the Blackerby house. That's what's going to happen.
What in the world are you doing?
It's going to be fun. Burritos, tacos, all kinds of good
burritos. If that happens, yeah, sure. If that happens,
everybody clip this and post it to their social media handles.
Yeah, set a timer for a year from now. We'll see what happens. Brian, it's about to be crazy for you over at the portal. What else going on? How can they find it?
All they got to do is check out the Portal Podcast. Just type it in on Google or wherever you want to go. You can find me at FBScout_Florida on X. And it is bananas with what's about to happen. As soon as the Kiffin news to LSU or Florida happens this Saturday, which it's going to, the portal will open and the floodgates will awaken. And for your school and every other school will be interesting. Check out the portal.
It's going to be insane. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.